I think that there is that factor where men often find it harder to accept being vulnerable. And like we talked about last time, that in fact, when people accept their vulnerability and think, look, I can be hurt, I can be touched, and I can handle that, that's the nature of vulnerability, then that's a kind of emotional security. But there are different ways of being emotionally insecure, as we talked about last time. It could be either, oh, look, I feel hurt, I feel overwhelmed, and I can't stand it. That's one way of being insecure. But another way of not accepting one's vulnerability is to think, well, this doesn't affect me. I'm above this. This doesn't touch me. I'm okay. When in fact you're not. That's actually not strength. That's a kind of fear and insecurity. And I think that men are learning that you can be strong and still be vulnerable. And that actually helps our relationships. It helps us be better connected with other people.
What really hammered it home for me recently was I was listening to a podcast with, it was Mike Tyson and Sugar Ray Robinson. So essentially two of the blokiest blokes, if you were to, I suppose, take that almost black and white view of what masculinity is or what it was seen as for a very long time. And they were having this conversation and both of them were in tears. And Mike Tyson was talking about the fact that he never made peace with his shadow side. And he was talking about the fact that there was almost this animal within him that he was never able to control, and so he almost had to completely suppress that. And then Sugar Ray Robinson was actually talking about being sexually abused by one of his early boxing trainers. So I just thought to myself, like, what a change in situation are we in now where, when Mike Tyson was fighting, which, relatively it wasn't that long ago, when he was fighting, he would never in a million years have let anyone into, 1% of what he was feeling in that degree. I suppose potentially, it's quite illuminating looking back at some of his life as to the fact that he felt some of that stuff. But I just thought, to me, it was just such a stark contrast in terms of what these two, one's a heavyweight, but these two sort of heavyweights of masculinity are giving us in terms of, yes, it used to be that idea of, you belt someone, it's this almost primal masculinity, whereas now it is that vulnerability. It's their ability to sort of touch their emotional side and have the conversation and open up and face what things inside them potentially led them to being such a competitor in the ring.
Yes, this idea of facing one's demons and being prepared to acknowledge that, as you say, dealing with the shadow side, as Jung described it. There's a lot of value in that. There's a lot of good that can come from that. And when you think of it, there have always been hints about this capacity for recognising that even by strong people. Well, Winston Churchill famously had struggles with the black dog, as it's sometimes called. Abraham Lincoln, another one. And there'd be any number of famous and resourceful characters who have had real difficulties with depression. And fortunately, it is being more openly acknowledged these days.